Recording. Good. All right. Good day, everyone. Good morning, good evening, wherever you're dialing in from. Thank you so much for coming for the last session of this series. Really glad to have all of you here. I see everybody is logging in. This is the sixth and the last session from the current series. Excited not to be finished, but since yesterday, I've been receiving a lot of messages from many of you on how you're going to continue the program. So let's start as usual with a short prayer, and then we will proceed from there. Sound this.
Blessed is the spot, and the house, and the place, and the city, and the heart, and the mountain, and the refuge, and the cave, and the valley, and the land, and the sea, and the island, and the meadow, where mention of God hath been made, and his praise glorified, glorified, glorified. Blessed is the spot, and the house, and the place, and the city, and the heart, and the mountain, and the refuge, and the cave, and the valley, and the land, and the sea, and the island, and the meadow, where mention of God hath been made, and his praise glorified, 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 and his praise glorified, 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 and his praise glorified, glorified, glorified.
All right. So for those that just joined us, thank you again for coming for our last session. We'll do a quick review of what we did last week. And then at the end of today's session, we'll do a full review of the whole program. As I was mentioning, several of you have sent me messages, and I know that you're working on bringing this education to your local community, so we would love to hear from you. Ms. Irma was going to, I think you have met, she did present in one of the early sessions. She was going to present the first hour, but unfortunately, she's traveling. She tried to log in. She was on the side of the road, and the connection wasn't good. So I said, don't worry about it. I'll just conduct the last session. So last week, we concentrated on generosity. That's what we did. We looked at different aspects of generosity, what we have, what we can share with others, which is not just money. Often when we think of being generous, we only think about money, but there is so much that we can give, so many things, and so much we can do to bring joy and happiness to everyone. We listed out all these different things that we can do, all the different organizations and places that we can get involved in. And that's something that often when people have an idea, as we will see today, we feel like we need to start something brand new. But if we look around in our local communities, we can find many organizations that are possibly doing the same thing, and we can partner up with them. We actually did Mind Treasures. One of the things that we learned early on, we thought that this is an education that we can bring to adults, I have mentioned, and then children and youth. So we tried to do like summer camps, holiday camps, doing the after-hour programs, trying to do them at churches, other faith-based organizations. But really, that first year, we realized that that is going to be so difficult. It's not that people don't think of the education as something necessary, but it just isn't something that people want to do it by itself. And although it can be done in a condensed, like a 2-3 day workshop, definitely not for children, for adults and youth, it can be done. What we realize is that our best option is to partner up with schools, going to schools so we don't have to recruit participants, the students are there. So that's what we learned early on, and that has really made us successful up to this point. And we talked about what can I do to bring joy and happiness to myself, different things, our hobbies, our talents, and particularly preparing for life after when we stop working, when we cannot physically work. So those are the things that we discussed last week. We talked about investments, being selfless and generous to ourselves. We saw what is the cost of procrastination. What's the difference if we start saving for retirement at age 35 versus starting 10 years earlier? It makes a huge difference at the money that can be saved and made available for retirement. It was actually almost twice as much. We looked at different types of investments in stocks, in real estate, in let's see, ourselves. So one of the activities that we haven't done, assignments, I don't think I assigned this, so maybe we did, was this one, My Wealth and Resources. Maybe we did this. These are everything, our knowledge, our talents, skills, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual powers. These are all different resources that we have, different types of wealth that we have, that we can share and invest with others. We can invest them in our personal, family, and community life. We looked at also, we talked about investing responsibly. Often there are many investment, we come across investment opportunities that may not be right for us. Some people may be trying to deceive us to take an investment that's not right for us. But then others, friends, family, they make recommendations, which has worked for them, but not necessarily worked for us. So we really need to do our own due diligence, do our own investigation. We see things, we hear things, especially now these days on internet, but we also have a brain that we need to utilize and really evaluate, is this right for me? Is this not right for me? And eventually, whatever decision we make, it may or may not be successful, but at least we have tried our best to understand. So I'll stop here. Small group today. It's just going to be me presenting. Any questions on what we did last week before we get into our creativity lesson? If anybody has any question, you can open your microphone. Eva says we're good. I think we're all good. You can put questions in the chat. All right. So let's get to.
Did you mute that?
Rhonda, did you have a question or anything? Rhonda and Jordy? Nope, I could. All right.
No, we're good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So creativity, and I think Jordy has been preparing his talent, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll have at least one person perform his talent. So that's going to be good. The talent, the creativity is the last lesson that we present in schools. It's always fun because the students get to present their talents. That's what they do, and we love it. They do all kinds of things. They read poems, they tell jokes, they do sports, they have done skits, a variety of different things in there. Paintings, drawings, it's very cool. So Jordi, are you ready to show us your talent?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you want to open your camera? Because we can't see it. The camera is off. There we go.
Just get back here. He may not be able to show you all the moves. We're not sure on the spacing, but he'll show you what he can. Can you see him?
Yes, not right now, but if he goes back, you can see him. So Jordan, you have to introduce the way we do the talent show. Those who are performing their talents introduce themselves and then explain a little bit what the talent is they're going to be performed. So even though we know you, but it's good for you to introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Okay, so hi, my name is Jordan, and today I'm going to be doing my blue belt kata from my karate class.
Can you see him now?
Yes, yep, it's perfect. We can see him.
Okay.
Go ahead. Bravo, that was great. Great. Thank you, Jordi. Very, very cool. Jordi, how long have you been doing karate?
So I've been doing karate since last year in 2020.
Okay, all right, very good. Is this something that you wanted to do, or your parents or your grandmother encouraged you to do? Who thought of this?
I don't think so.
No, I mean, who thought about? Who was interested? Was it you, or was it somebody else that suggested?
Right.
I was interested. I wanted to learn some moves on karate.
Okay, all right.
Jordan has actually advanced 3 belt levels.
Wow! In one year?
In 1 year.
Wow. Okay, that's very cool. Okay, all right, very good. Since we have time, anybody else? We don't want it to be just Jordi. Jordi, thank you so much for performing your talent live. If anybody else would like to perform, I know in the WhatsApp group, Rhonda, you're not in the WhatsApp group, but several people did post their talent. I can actually bring that over here. Let me see if I can do it. Let's see. So this one is from Juliet. I think I can see. Let me make it bigger. So this is Juliet's talent, a cake that she has made for one of her friends, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And also, this one is from Achilles, also from Zambia. He says, I really enjoy designing, and this is my favorite design ever. Designed it into 2019. So if you guys, Achilles, do you want to explain what this is? Or how do you use your designs? But those are the only, oh, and we had Raju too. Oh yeah, forget about Raju. Raju, can you explain what this is?
Raju's.
Okay, it is about inflation. All the prices are going up very much, 100%, 200%, and so on. So the amount of income is limited, resources are limited. So financial management or money management with proper values is very important in order to survive today's challenging environment.
Very good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is great. Achilles, I think you were going to unmute. Go ahead, please.
Well, thank you so much. If you look at this design, basically what it means, it's just something that comes in me to start designing anything that I feel like. And sometimes some of the design I do, I forget how I even came up with design. So it just comes up in me to design things.
Okay, thank you. Your sound was a little choppy, but I think we got just a little bit. Okay. All right, so we're gonna go back. Thank you so much. If anybody else have any talent that they would like to show us, we'll be happy to give you the floor. So talents are the way we present talents and passion. These are things that not everyone has, every talent and every passion. And I'm gonna put a question in the chat to see what is the difference between a talent and a passion. Passion and talent. So you guys want to put it in the chat, what is the difference? Because we're talking about here, creativity is power of imagination. It is discovering your own special talents, dare to see things in new ways and find different ways to solve problems. With your creativity, you can bring something new to the world. Talents, I'm sure everyone has talents. Sometimes we have to think about it. What is our talent? It may take us a while over the time to discover. And if you remember Irma, I'm not gonna show the video because it is very a long video, but if you haven't seen it, Irma posted her talent on the WhatsApp group. She's part of a choir here in San Diego, and their story is that a majority of people that are part of the choir used to live on the streets. They did not have a home. So their director got everyone together. They do a lot of performances, and the performance that she posted there was on America's Got Talent, and they did get the golden buzzer. If you haven't watched it, please do. It's great. Their story is really good. This is, all right, you guys got to start participating in this. Otherwise, it can't be just me talking. So talents, you can list those that haven't performed or put their talents in the WhatsApp group. Please feel free to put it in the chat. We want to know what is your talent. Mita, would you like to say?
Yeah, I think I am not added to the WhatsApp group.
Sorry, yes, yeah. Okay, I will add you. Actually, the WhatsApp group is pretty much done, but I'll add you. Sorry about that. I forgot to add you in there. Okay. All right. Did you want to share your talent? At least tell us what your talent is.
Yeah, I can try to do a split.
Okay.
So give.
All right. Okay.
I have been practicing since a while, so give me one moment.
Okay. All right. So while she's getting ready, Ismail had a comment. Jordan, did you see Ismail's comment to you? He said, "Very well done, Jordan. I have studied." Me too. Okay. Go ahead, me too. Get ready for it.
Can you see?
Yes, we can definitely see.
That's it.
Very good, very good. Thank you so much. That is definitely a talent. I cannot even touch my toes anymore. Not barely I can touch my knees, let alone my toes. So that was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ismail wrote to Jordan, if you guys haven't seen it. Very well done, Jordan. I have studied 6 different martial arts, and I love the discipline. I love the discipline you've clearly displayed in order to advance 3 levels in a single year. You are already an exemplary leader. I am sure your family is very proud of you, and you are rooting, and we are rooting for your continued success. All right, very cool.
That's nice.
Thank you.
Roger writes, as far as difference between passion and talent, he says, passion is our fuel energy that helps us achieve what we wanted with joy. Talent is our skill and ability to do something. Yes, that's a very good example. So to me, I mean, the way I look at it is that talent is things that we have and we might enjoy for our lifetime, but not all of them become passion. Like I think I shared, I love doing carpentry. I haven't done much of it. I used to do music, haven't done much of it, but really my passion has become this program because of so many changes and so many positive changes that we do see in people, and everyone else is making these changes. Um, talents, we can definitely utilize our talents. First thing that we like to do with our, I'm going to put that question in there. What can we do with our talents? And again, anybody wants to unmute your microphone since we're a small group, please go ahead and do that. What can we do with our talents?
Alex, I like your definition. I would just say also for me, I think talent can be a God-given gift, something that, you know, is unique to you, whereas a passion can just be something that you really enjoy. But I do agree. I had what some would describe probably as talents years back, where I used to knit, crochet, sew, but I do none of those things today. And it's not because I don't still probably have the ability to do it. I just don't really have the time, and I don't have the deep love for it.
Yeah, yeah. It changes over time. I mean, it kind of are, and I think those become more of a hobby. That some of the talents become more of a hobby. But
Right.
Then at some point of time, we find our passion, and it could be a career too. My background is engineering. I have an engineering degree. I have worked in the engineering field for many years, but it was never, I never thought of it as a passion. I liked it when I was young, and I pretty much stopped doing it 15, 16 years ago when we started Mindfish. Juliet writes, a talent is an inborn art that you may have. Oops, it just moved. Okay, you might have doing something, whilst passion is something you enjoy exerting effort and time in, and you enjoy it and get personal satisfaction. Great, great description in here. Ismail writes, a passion is the thing that is so deeply connected to our values that we are driven to do something, to express this deep-seated love. Ideally, something that has a lasting impact, but the expression of this passion isn't particularly contingent upon the validation or approval of others. A talent is something that we are naturally inclined to do because we are good at it or have the ability to become good at it rather quickly. All great descriptions in here. So now we want to, so the question, I'm going to repost it again. What can we do? So Jody, I'm going to ask you, what do you think you're going to do with your martial art talents? What are your thoughts? You enjoyed yourself, but do you think you can bring joy and happiness to others with your art, with your martial art?
Well, your brother is trying to learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's not really quite sure on that one, but I can tell you that the little guy, Jonathan, is trying to follow up after Big Brother.
Okay, very, very cool.
He sees his commitment and discipline, and he's trying to see if he can keep up with them.
Okay, very good. Jordan, when you perform your talents, do others come watch you? Not every day, but sometimes do they come and watch you? Like if you have a, I'm not sure what they call it, performance? Do others come watch you?
Well, right now he's on a break.
Okay.
They were doing it remote because of COVID.
Yep.
So right now he's taking a bit of a break to kind of get back into school, since the schools were also remote there for a while, and to make sure he gets back on track with that. But that's definitely a possibility down the line once he picks it up again.
Okay. All right. Very, very cool. So our talents, I mean, first and foremost, we can help others. We can bring joy and happiness to others. And if you have any examples, please do. Please put it in the chat or unmute yourself. We have seen many people use their talents to bring joy and happiness to others. And then secondly, as Eva put it in here, use the talent and passion to earn money. That's something that we can do. Except that my passion does not earn me any money. I need to find a separate passion in here. But the joy and happiness that I gain from doing this program, that's much more valuable than any money that we can earn. So that is the other thought. Often we struggle to find ideas to start a business. We may try things and they don't work. And ultimately in life, we might find something that is working for us. And if we can find or create a venture or a business or something that comes from our talents, usually and passion, we become a lot more successful. So I'm going to put a question in here about, have you ever started any venture, any initiatives? Venture or a business. If you have ever started a business venture, anything that you have particularly used your talent, passion, please either unmute yourself or just share with us in the chat. Because this is how we do. And I think throughout our lives, as Mita, go ahead.
Okay, so I come across with children as a very approachable person. That is one talent I feel. So because of that, I started a preschool. I do storytelling, and now I'm also working with children with financial literacy.
Okay, and is that something you enjoy doing, or are you doing it as a necessity?
I have learned to enjoy.
Okay.
So my talent and my likings didn't go for a long time, but I kept on kept attracting children, or probably my aura attracted me to them and they got attracted to me. And so then I eventually said, all right, I will start liking it.
Okay. All right. Very cool. Yeah. Sometimes life just takes us in the direction that we never thought about. That's what it is. We begin to like something. All right. Okay. Anybody else that has started? Because often we start from, I think, our career life just by choice, especially probably from our age. We start by working for someone else. We start being an employee of someone else. And then over time, we think of something, we think of an idea or start. And I think now things are changing. I believe more and more young people, they're starting things from a young age, possibly because of internet. They're seeing other people doing the same thing. So I think things are changing as well. Juliet writes, I have a small catering business where I supply cakes, scones, pies, and meals to people holding events. That's great. And I think for cooking, you definitely have to have a talent and a passion. Cooking is not something that you just do out of necessity. It really needs that touch in there. Anybody else would like to share something? Anything that you've started? It doesn't necessarily have to be a business. It could be even an idea that you had, and as we will see, we're going to get into it a little bit, how to take the challenges in our community and begin to think about how do we make improvements in there. Any thoughts? Anyone has done anything? Okay, it's the last day, everybody's quiet. I totally understand. All right, so again, this lesson, when we do it in schools, it's very exciting. Our participants, we've had all kinds of participants. Once we had we were doing an adult class, and one of the participants brought the dread poncho. If you know what a poncho is a Spanish thing overall that goes. And once she presented in the class, everyone encouraged her to follow it up. And one of our sponsors actually got her a sewing machine, and she started having a business. She started selling her ponchos in a market. We've had many people think about ideas and then start their business after, whether young ones or whether older adults. If you ever watched the video of this young boy who took our class, this was in 2008. His name is Marquise, and after taking the class, he did many different ventures. He raised money for his school. He started a lemonade stand. He started a investment club. He called it the Newcomers Investment Club for youth. For a while, he was having the youth in his community who wanted to be part of the investment club. He would have them take a Mind Treasures course, and then they could invest very little, maybe $5 once a month. They will get together with some adult help. They would look at stocks, what they want to invest in. And he was doing it for a while. Probably because of COVID that stopped, and he is now an adult himself. Marquise is an adult himself. Let's see what Ismail writes. He says, I've started several businesses over my long lifetime. Ismail, I don't think you're that old to say your long lifetime. I started my first business when I was 8. We started very early. Currently, I have a coaching and consulting business specializing in helping young people develop financial literacy and entrepreneurship skills. I'm also in the process of starting a digital marketing agency, and I will also begin data analytics consulting sometime in 22. Ismail is a very busy man. Eva writes, I like singing, but I didn't monetize it. Okay, it's never too late, Eva. We can always, things kind of come to us even later in life. All right. Okay, any other thoughts? Anybody else who started? Roger, you've been awfully quiet today. I'm sure you have started things in the past.
Yes, Alex, of course, it is always about my financial literacy and financial planning, where training is I believe, my core talent. Then I have the ability to develop and present it in a very simple and people can understand easy. So, and take them to interest them in what I do. So basically, daily for the past few years, I've been sharing through various social media, including WhatsApp and Facebook, my ideas, how people can benefit, what are they should do in terms of their personal life and also personal financial life. So it's been a very good response. It can able to make a lot of difference in people's life, and people really appreciate it. My happiness comes when people make the difference in people's life. That's what I'm getting. And of course, there are from time to time, people also engage me to do some training for that.
Very good. And Roger has been developing some material, especially the material beautiful. And I've asked him to, once it's all compiled together, we will share it with everyone in our entire network. They're usually 2-3 pages with a lot of graphics, with a lot of really, and short, brief, the best way I can describe them is encouraging adults to engage, to begin to teach financial literacy, not only to themselves, but also to their children and youth. They are great. I've really enjoyed every day. I don't know where you find time to do this on a daily basis, but it's been amazing. A lot of it based on the material that we're presenting. So we're sharing all of it once it's complete. Roger is also going to translate our material to Malaysian, which he said, because we have the Indonesian version, he says it should be fairly easy for him to complete the translation into Malay. So that would be another language that the program will be available. So these are great things, and that's what we need to do. We need to take our ideas, take our talents and passion, and do something with it. And I know that often people like something that I got I don't know whether I should call it concern or not. Last year of college, we had a speaker that came to one of our classes, and he says, only those that have developed a business plan are going to be successful. And I'm thinking, 5 years, I've been coming to school, spending a lot of money, spending a lot of time. No one ever told us what is a business plan? And you're telling me that I'm going to be a failure in life because I have no idea what a business plan is. They never taught us how to do this. But a business plan basically starts from right here. Everything that we've been working together. A business plan doesn't have to be something to elaborate. Of course, it depends on the idea that's being presented and what needs to happen, but it can be a very simple thing. This is an idea that I have. This is a challenge I'm trying to address. And this is how I think it's going to go. It's really doesn't have to be that complicated. And since I have been involved with several startup companies, most of them have been tech. Even when we've had business plans, it doesn't necessarily go based on what we thought how it would go. Things changes, even with Mind Treasures, because we do seek sponsorship from organizations, from government, and from foundations. Some of them do ask, it's like, give us a 5-year strategic plan. And I wish I could tell them I have no idea, because I seriously don't. It's not that we're just moving and not knowing what to do, but for right now, we know that there's a lot of interest throughout the world. We continue presenting this material. We are supposed to start our classes in person in January. Hopefully, yesterday's announcement, because of the new variant that's coming from the Southern African countries, does not change things. But we are going to start our program in schools in January. That's what our plan is. So plans really change. We can write stuff down, but as long as we have something, I think we can get started. All right, Jill is right. Having developed a passion for financial literacy, I have taken a step to work with the church or faith in bringing financial literacy to the local community. So I'm going to concentrate on that a little bit, because this morning I'm going to share what Kelly sent me. He and Juliet have been working on together. This is their flyer. It's a little, I don't think I can make it. Okay, there we go. So they are going to do a 2-day financial literacy, December 10th and 11th. It's an all-day training in their local town. It's going to be in person. That's what they're doing. So thank you so much. Again, this is the best reward and payment that we can get for providing this education at no cost to our friends around the globe. It's great. We look forward to seeing pictures, maybe even videos of how this program is going to go, and learn from it. Something that we all need to get into is this learning mode that we're all learning together. Financial literacy, the basics are the same, but how it can be implemented in different parts of the world, those are things that nobody has the recipe. Nobody can say, oh, I know how to present this in India, in Zambia, in Malaysia, even from town to town, or even in your local communities, it's always different. So thank you so much, you guys, for working on this. Let's go back in here, have something from Ismail. It says, yes, Ismail, do you have another business you want to tell us? Let me see what you write. One of the more significant failures of our education system in America, they don't teach leadership, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy. And this is problematic because the absence of these skills in our curriculum sets people up for long-term failure. For my clients, I never have them to do detailed business plans unless they are seeking bank funding. Instead, we use the business model canvas so that we have a visual to map out the interdependencies of the business more quickly, and we can then focus on execution. Those are very great points. Definitely financial literacy, as we've talked about, it is missing all around the world. Rhonda and Jordi, you guys are one of the few that have actually completed our virtual classes. And Rhonda, you're one of the few adults that have completed our virtual, any type of our classes from US. This is, as you can see, we have a lot more people. Majority of our participants are from around the world than from US. Even a few that did sign up, we did have the two young adults that signed up, and I know they work, but there were even other people that just did not follow through. And it's very sad, at least to me, that we started this program here in the US and people are not taking advantage of it. And also, I would say, Ismail, you're half American, half Saudi Arabia. So we'll count you as half American participating in this program. And that's why prior to pandemic, we haven't done much adult programs because there was no interest. And we saw that when we go to schools, there's a lot more interest in there. And it takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of perseverance. This is for everyone who's thinking of doing financial literacy and those who have done it. I know Raju, he says that, Alex, I tell my clients they need to learn, but they don't listen. It's like, this is everywhere. Adults are very difficult to get engaged into anything like, even though that they need it, but it's very difficult. But don't give up, please. Let's stick together. All right. Before we move on to the next segment, any other thoughts? For those who don't remember, Ismail is born from US in New Jersey, but he has lived in Saudi Arabia, I believe, for 20 years. And he says, I'll be returning home to States in a few months. It'll be great to have you here. All right, any other thoughts, any questions? I know we went briefly through this as far as talents and business ideas. And after this, as we've talked about, once the end, today is not the end of our relationship together. We will continue to stay in touch together. If you have questions, thoughts about how to start a business, as much as we can help, how to start an investment, we cannot make any recommendation, especially for locations outside of the United States, because we don't understand. But we can always share things that we have learned from doing our workshops. So if there are no questions, we can move into the last part of the program. All right. So we'll do a quick review. The last part is a review and mostly about implementation of what do we do with everything that we have learned. So our review starts with, if you remember 6 weeks ago, we started with the spiritual foundation of wealth and finances. We read many scriptures from different religions, from the Quran, from the Bible, from Buddha's writing, from Baha'i writing. And as we saw, they all taught the same language. They all encourage us to do the same thing of how we live our lives together. Because in reality, all of them they all come from the same source, from one God. I don't want to get into the spiritual. I have done a 2-hour workshop. It's been like 10 years since I've done that, just concentrating on the spiritual aspects of finances. And I'm hoping it's a little outdated. I need to update it and then possibly do it again, because we just touched on the surface of the spiritual aspects of finances. There's a lot more. So hopefully next year when I get time, I can refresh that presentation and then do a 2-hour workshop just on that topic. We looked at our life as a whole from the time of conception in the mother's womb. In that 9 months, we developed the limbs that we need for this world. Our spiritual goals in that little space, we are not aware. But then we prepared, because everything that we gain in the mother's womb, fingers, eyes, ears, all our organs are needed for this world. They're essential for our survival in here. So for the first 20 years or so of our lives, we rely on our parents to provide us with life necessities. We don't worry about what we eat, where we live, what clothing, who provides clothing, and all of that. And then we concentrate on gaining education and experience. And toward the end of, I don't know, 16, 17, and older, we begin to earn some money through active income. And again, that is changing. At least this is what we see in the US. And maybe we can talk about that too a little bit. I see our boys under 19 and 21, they are into investing because investment vehicles have become a lot easier for them. They have an app on their phone. They don't have to have thousands and thousands of dollars to start investing. They can invest very little and they're learning. But adult intervention and guidance is definitely needed because after all, we have been around for a little longer, so we can guide them. They still have to make their own mistakes. They have to lose some money, but they will learn. We just have to make sure that they don't lose everything at a young age. Then our adult life, which is about 49 years or so, there's no magic number. We start earning active income through employment, through maybe starting a business. And then our goal is to graduate or progress through passive income because we know that by the time we get to our next stage of life, physically we are not capable of physically working. And we really want to enjoy our happiness in our later years. As Roger says, it's not just about having lots of money, it's about having happiness, free time, enjoying being together, and also doing good for the well-being of our fellow human beings. And throughout this time on earth, those that have spiritual belief, we are asked to now also prepare ourselves for the next world. Just as the Bible says, lay not up for yourself treasures on earth, which is the material stuff, but store treasures in heaven, which is our character traits that we've been presenting in this workshop. Patience, moderation, responsibility, and there's unlimited number of them. And again, for those that believe that our soul survives after this body goes back to earth, we want to be selfish. I want to be selfish and leave a legacy behind that I'm remembered by. Because according to the Baha'i writings, it says, and also all the other ones, it says that our soul will progress through the world of God until it attains His presence. And one of the ways of doing that is through the good work that are done in the name of the person. Yes. So this is our progress is dependent on the grace of Lord alone, through the intercession and sincere prayers of other human souls, or through the charities and important good works that are done in His name. And it's like we got to be thinking globally. And the pandemic, if we were not thinking globally before, I think the pandemic has made us think globally, whatever we do. And this is something that I really love coming, particularly from our friends in Africa. Everyone that I get connected with in Africa, they say, oh, we started an NGO, we want to do this, and we want to take it global. And my first question, how long have you been doing this? Oh, I just registered my company. It's like, okay, we're going to do it together. I really love that energy and passion that I particularly see coming from Africa. It's amazing. I mean, there's a lot of passion from different parts of the world. Outside of the US, it's very unfortunate to say that, but it's so much of it coming from Africa. The other thing that we have looked at is redefining the concept of being rich and wealthy. It's like if you look up in the dictionary, the definition of wealth, rich, and wealthy, they pretty much just allude to material aspects of life. In the Merriam-Webster dictionary, wealth is defined as a large amount of money and possessions. Rich is the person that has a lot of money and possessions. And then wealthy is having lots of money and possessions. Those are the same. So I'm going to put it in the chat if you want to open your microphone. What is the difference between being rich and wealthy? Any thoughts? So go ahead and unmute yourself. Again, you're a small group. If you have any thoughts you would like to share. Okay. Eva says rich for monetary, wealthy can include spiritual aspects. Okay, that's one thought. All right, let's see what everyone else has to say. Anybody else? And this is that something that I'm hoping that we can actually change these definitions in the dictionaries. I'm not sure how long it's going to take. Haven't even started thinking about it. Mita, go ahead. You unmute yourself.
Yeah, so one of the prayers for God, it says, God, you are, it says Bal Buddhi Vidya. Bal means power not of, power, but health. Mm-hmm. Then Buddhi is the wisdom, and Vidya is knowledge. So I think these things together makes you wealthy.
Okay, all right.
And rich is definitely about material possessions.
Okay, all right, very good. Thank you so much. Rhonda?
I would just say that for me, I think rich doesn't always have to be monetary. You can be rich in love, rich in giving, whereas wealthy for me definitely has to do more with monetary.
Okay, all right.
Monetary significance.
Okay, so those are opposite thoughts. Okay, all right. So let's see what Ismail says. Ismail says Ramit Sethi has done a good job on helping people understand the difference between leading a rich life and being wealthy. In his I Will Teach You to Be Rich program. The key difference is that a rich life is based on your personal values and the things that are important to you. So it's possible to live a rich life without being particularly wealthy. Okay, all right. There are a lot of different descriptions in here. The way we like to redefine this, and actually the very first session that we do, it's the first session or the second session, we bring in chocolate to classroom. I should have brought some. It's been a while since we've actually done the in-person, and I totally forgot about the chocolate concept. And the concept is written in the facilitator manual. So chocolate is rich, and that's just an example in there. We can be addicted to chocolate. We can use the energy that chocolate has to do a lot of great things. We can just keep on hoarding chocolate and not using it. Or we can just eat all the chocolate that we have in one setting and let the energy just dissipate and go to waste. We get crazy and things like that. And chocolate also goes bad. If we just keep on buying chocolate and hoarding it and not using it, it can go bad. So money is the same way. And we ask the participants, our students, like, is money the same as chocolate? And there is. So let me ask you this. Georgie, are you still with us, or did Jordan leave?
He's still here.
Still here. Jordan, do you like chocolate?
Yes.
Okay. What type?
My favorite, Reese's.
Okay. All right. My favorite one is Milky Way. I'm not too big on Reese's, but that's okay. Everyone has a different. All right. Do you think money is like chocolate?
No.
Okay. Can you be addicted to chocolate, like want a lot of chocolate?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Can you be addicted to money, like want to have a lot of money?
Yes.
Okay, so that's one example. Does chocolate give you energy?
Chocolate kind of gives you like sugar energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like
yep.
You become like a little hyper once you have like the sugar from the chocolate.
Yep, exactly. So money can do the same thing too. I mean, if you have lots of money and just keep it, that you feel like powerful. You have a lot of money. Isn't that the same? Kind of the same? Okay. All right. Now, when we cannot keep chocolate forever, right? We have to eat it, otherwise it goes bad. Do you think money ever goes bad?
No, it does. It never go. Yes, it can't actually go bad.
How?
Like once you spend, like if you spend it all, you won't have enough. You won't like have enough to get some, like pay for food, get something else you really, really like.
Okay.
And chocolate, it goes away too, just like money.
Okay. All right. Well, if you don't spend it, so I'm trying to see if we keep chocolate around, it goes bad. You cannot eat it. But if you just not spend the money, so if you continue to keep the money, do you like hamburgers?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. Which restaurant is your favorite hamburger place?
McDonald's.
McDonald's. I prefer In-N-Out, but that's okay. Nothing against you. McDonald's is okay too. So I'm gonna ask your grandmother or Jordan, how much is a Big Mac these days? Big Mac and fries. You know?
Big Mac and fries.
Yes.
Like $5.
$5. Okay. Rhonda, do you remember being Jordan's age?
Yes.
How much was a Big Mac? Because I think Big Mac was around that time. How much did you have to pay for Big Mac and fries when you were 8 years old?
Oh my gosh. A Big Mac when I was Jordan's age, I don't know. I would probably say it was under $1.
It was, let's say, yeah, it was under $1, probably like 50 cents. So Jordan, your grandmother used to pay, and Rhonda, it was the same dollar, right? It was the same 50 cents. Nothing has changed. The dollar looks the same pretty much, right? It's the same dollar.
That's correct.
So Jordan, how is it that your mother used to spend 50 cents for a Big Mac and fries, and now you have to pay $5? How is that?
So they can increase their money so they could get like extra.
It's actually called inflation. That's how money doesn't go bad, but it loses its value. So if your grandmother, when she was your age, she would have kept her 50 cents and not enjoyed the Big Mac. Today, she couldn't buy it because she didn't have enough money. So that's how money, it doesn't go bad, it just loses its value. That's how it works. Now, that doesn't mean that we have to spend all of our money because, as Ismail said, he wants to make sure all of his money in his wallet, they don't feel lonely. They have some friends in there. So, but we need to eat, we need to buy clothing, we need to do a lot of stuff, but we don't need to spend too much of it. So thank you so much, Jordan. So coming back to our definitions, and this is, again, there are people that feel like, well, if I think about money or constantly look at my bank account and do my budget, it's not right. But it is okay. This quote says, wealth is praiseworthy in the highest degree if it is acquired by an individual's own efforts and grace of God in commerce, agriculture, and industry, and if it be expanded for philanthropic purposes. So we do need to supply our needs, and then, but also think about the need of others too. And I really love this one, where it says, "O ye that pride yourselves on mortal riches, know ye in truth that wealth is a mighty barrier between the seeker and his desire, the lover and his beloved. The rich, but for a few, shall in no wise attain the court of his presence, nor enter the city of content and resignation. Well is it then with him, who being rich is not hindered by the riches from the eternal kingdom, nor deprived by them of imperishable dominion. By the most great name, the splendor of such a wealthy man shall illumine the dwellers of heaven, even as the sun enlightens the people of the earth." So based on this, we've defined all these terms. Wealth can be anything. It's our knowledge, expertise, talent, passion, time, money, as well as physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual power. These are all different types of wealth. Rich is the person that has all of this stuff. That is just like having a lot of chocolate. So chocolate is an example of wealth. The person that has the chocolate is a rich person. Now, wealthy is the next level. A person who possesses the skills and desire to obtain, manage, and utilize above resources for illuminating the world. So wealthy is not about having little or having so much or having money or different happiness and different things. It's about how do we utilize, how do we use that to bring joy and happiness to the entire world, to our family, to our friends, to our community, and then eventually the entire world. This is how we're redefining these three different worlds. So based on that, we've also created, I think we created this, but I think I've seen it in other places too. this phrase called entrephilanthropy. And this is how we define it. We define entrephilanthropy as entrepreneurship for philanthropic purposes, acts of organizing and managing enterprises and ventures with considerable initiative, passion, and risk to accumulate resources, all those different types of resources, for the purpose of altruistic concern for human welfare and advancement, usually manifested by utilization of such resources for endowment of institutions of learning and other socially useful purposes. So this is what we are trying to facilitate and learn together from a very young age, that every type of wealth that we gain is not just for our benefit, but it's for the benefit of entire humanity. And we can do that. And to do this, as you've seen, we are supporting ourselves, we're supporting our future here on Earth. This is supporting our future beyond Earth. It's benefiting the entire humanity. So I don't think there's any wrong way once we do this. And we can do this from very young ages. We have seen, again, if you haven't watched the video of Marquise, which is listed in the responsibility, no, it's in the accountability lesson plan, the video that was listed in there. Of course, not everyone becomes Marquise. We're not saying that everyone can be him and do all different things, but everyone can do something for the good of their own community. And that is the whole goal that we're trying to reach. So community challenges, if you remember in the responsibility lesson, we did talk about some community challenges. I wish Hassan was here. I think he didn't say anything, but probably his internet was not doing well. These are some of the community challenges that we picked from different participants. These are just examples of what they see in their local community. The road in my area is bad. Most of the youth in my neighborhood are so wayward. Most of my neighbors are very noisy and I can't study very well. So there are different things in here. I'm going to put in the chat just to remind us what are the challenges in your community. So while everybody is thinking about it, Jordan, I'd like to ask with you, what do you see that you don't like? Maybe in school or in Mir Mesa where you live, is there something that you don't like and you like to improve, make it better?
Alex, he stepped away. I'll get him.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Whenever he comes back. You can put it in chat or unmute yourself so it's not just me talking. I'm sure everyone, I know that in your online worksheets, everyone had put some stuff in there, but just as a reminder, because that's something that we're going to come to. Financial literacy, I think, is one that everyone has, everybody agrees, but there's so many other things that we can think about. All right, Eva says financial literacy is low among Malaysians. Most Malaysians cannot retire, okay. I know from, I think last week, same thing was true in India. Nita said that in India, they have the same issue. That is a big challenge everywhere. What other, besides financial literacy, because we know that, what other challenges can we think about in our neighborhood, in the community? Things that we can do something about it. Of course, there are a lot of global challenges and bigger challenges in our country that we may not be able to do anything about it right now, but something small that we can start in our neighborhood. Eva says pollution. Okay, that's a good one. If you remember, we were talking about plastic, the environment. That's another one that is, I think it's a global challenge as well that we can think about. Mita, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I dream to start a school based on the concept where you whatever money that you give to the school, after 10 years, you get it back.
Okay. How does that work? How do you get it back?
So the money is invested somewhere, and in a matter of 10, 12 years, it definitely multiplies. and then I'm able to give them the money that they have invested.
Okay.
Because
All
in
right.
India, especially, okay, the rural places or the government schools are not working well, and the private schools are very expensive most of the time. So, you know, I wish to bring a kind of a thing where, you know, good schools may not be expensive. You will get the money back.
Okay. All right. That's great. And that is, education is the right of everyone, every single human being, especially now. We live in a world that there is so much resources available that everyone should be able to attain the basic knowledge and skills in schools. And as I've mentioned, even here in the US, it's a big challenge. That is my thing. Besides financial literacy, I really wish I could do something. And constantly I'm thinking about it. I've even thought about, should I not set aside my treasures because this is too valuable to set aside, but it's like, how can I attract other people to come into the schools and help them understand? Yes, everyone goes to school here. There is no the grade kindergarten through 12th grade is free for everyone. There are private schools also. But then when they go to school, they don't gain the knowledge because in a lot of communities, the parent involvement is not there. And that's an essential. Schools cannot just do it by themselves. So I'm hoping that at some point in time, I can attract other people here in our local community to address them. Let's see. Roger says people, health, and health of our earth. Well, yes, exactly. Tay says ethnic and political prejudice. Yes, there's a lot of prejudice. I think it's also everywhere in the world. Something that we will see that we can begin to eliminate some of the prejudices. It would be good. Jordan, you're back with us. I have a question. I have a question for you, my friend. So is there something that you like to make better, either in the school that you go to, or just in your neighborhood, in Mira Mesa? Is there something that you think can be better? And something small.
I can't really think of anything right now.
Okay, all right. Well, if you think of something before we end today, we still have another 50 minutes left. Just come and tell us, because I'm sure there is something. Come on, you have to. Every time we do this in school, the number one thing that students say is school food. But you take your own food, so you don't have that problem. Okay, so that doesn't. All right, but think about it. Is there something in your school environment? And don't tell me no homework, because that doesn't work. Some of the students say we don't want to do homework. It's like, too bad. You're stuck with doing homework. It's necessary. So if you can think of anything, just come back and say. Rhonda, what about you? Is there something in our local community, since we live so close together, that we need to improve? Something small.
Something, the roadways.
Oh, the roadways.
The roadways are terrible. They're destructing everyone's tires.
Yes, it truly is. My son getting on I-15 south from Pomerado Road, that cracked his rim. We did write to Caltrans. I went and submitted a request. A week later, he came and said it's been addressed, and we haven't seen a change. So I'm not sure how it was addressed. We need to do some follow-ups in it. Okay, all right.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So we're going to continue on. Just think about it, ideas that you have, and we'll see how we can begin to work in this. So the next few slides come from this initiative that the Baha'i community is doing all throughout the world, is to think of addressing whatever challenges are locally with the infusion of spirituality. Mind Treasures is not a Baha'i program. As you've seen, we draw from all different religions, but it was inspired from the Baha'i community. The very first workshop that we did in February of 2006, it was titled Baha'i Views on Wealth and Prosperity. And one of the participants, she used to work at one of the universities here, and she said, Alex, keep the spiritual principles, but don't concentrate on any particular religion. And I can bring you into the university where you can do some workshops. And that's how we started. So, and we've learned that a lot of the challenges that we're having throughout our societies, prejudice, our political systems, even down to the roadways. Of course, it's hard to bring spirituality into fixing roads, but the way we can bring people together, as we see, can be done through requesting help and support and confirmation from higher above. So we've been talking about in our material in our program, for man, 2 wings are necessary. 1 wing is physical power and material civilization. The other is spiritual power and divine civilization. With 1 wing only, flight is impossible. 2 wings are essential. Therefore, no matter how much material civilization advances, it cannot attain to perfection except through the uplift of spiritual civilization. So I think our societies, for longest time, it has only concentrated on material stuff. And you can see, unfortunately, it's going too materialistic. Everything is now material. Everything is now compared to how much money a few individuals have. Their success is only being viewed as how much money they have. It was very unfortunate that I thought it was kind of heartbreaking. Someone from India, actually, a young man, is in grade 11 in high school, contacted me, and he wanted to learn financial literacy. And I got really excited about it. I said, sure, here's what we can do. Then he told me that he has created an Instagram page, and he shared it with me. All he has in there, what Elon Musk has done, what Amazon has done, what Jeff Bezos has done, all about money and material stuff. And I can't, I mean, I said, maybe you like to kind of look deeper into what these individuals have created. I mean, Elon Musk, he is revolutionizing the car industry, the space industry. Let's not concentrate on how much money he has, but what is it that, how they are affecting the world. So now it's like we need to align our spiritual affairs. Doesn't matter what religion we are from, because all the religions do come from the same background, from one God. It's we need to bring spirituality, and this brings people together. We have a lot of faith-based organizations, no matter where we live, that we do go, we pray, but hardly I think we do anything to affect our environment, our surroundings. So activities in the field of social and economic action development seek to promote the well-being of people of all walks of life. Whatever their beliefs or background, it represents the effort of community to affect constructive social change as it learns to apply spiritual teachings, together with knowledge accumulated in different fields of human endeavor. So bringing all of that together, I know that this is probably a very new concept to many of us, but we have seen it work. I mean, Mind Treasures is one example. When we started Mind Treasure, we never thought about how do we infuse spirituality into finances, and let alone bring it into public schools. This was unheard of, and definitely it was not a plan that I set together. We wanted to teach finances to everyone from a young age, but bringing spirituality, and how would school administrators view it? Will they not allow us in? Of course, we never presented the program as a spiritual program. It was always about character development and finances. But then now, especially, but it does say, I think from 2017, the program, when we send the introduction letter to parents at home, it does say that our program has a spiritual background, but it also says that it's not connected to any particular religion. And we've been amazed as how well it's been received. And now that since last year, we've been doing the virtual series. As you saw, we spent the first session just on the spiritual aspects of finances. Okay, there. All right. So whatever project, whatever challenge we take, we need to start small, but have a larger vision. And that's what I really love from our friends in Africa. They want to start in their community. Everyone who has come through our program, they said, we want to learn it, implement it in our personal life, in our family, and then in our community, but then we want to take this globally, and that's something that I really love. But we need to start small, and that's what we did with our program. We started in our son's school. The first children program had only 8 participants, and then it gradually grew to a point that before pandemic, we were doing about 1,200 to 1,500 students here locally. And the other thing is that at the ownership of the project, whatever project that we do, the community has to fully take on. So it's not about another group coming in and doing the program, but it's like, once we identify a challenge, and I wish really Hassan was here because I can't remember what he said. I remember he said that he had mentioned this to a few of his neighbors or community members, and they said, leave it alone. But I'm going to be working with him to really encourage him. It's like start, because often we look to our governments. Of course, there are projects that are big, we cannot do, and the governments have to do it. But then we can also, every individual can take part in it. So this kind of continues on that. Residents of every neighborhood, we are the ones who intimately are familiar with the realities, what type of wealth, those that we define, potentials, and what are our challenges. Of course, from outside, somebody else may see something different, but we are the one in every community that need to arise and say, oh, this is how we want to improve our living conditions. And based on what we have in our communities, because often we have seen other organizations come from outside the neighborhood, outside the country. They come in and try to fix somebody's problem. I hope you watched the video under responsibility, the Play Pump. I will post a follow-up to Play Pump, which fell apart because it was a great project. I will post both of them so you can watch it if you haven't. It was a great project going to South Africa to a little town called Stinkwater, trying to bring clean water to the residents. But then it wasn't initiated with the help of the community itself. So it run into a lot of challenges. And I think 5 years later, I found the follow-up that the whole thing fell apart. So I will post it in there as a learning. The other one, and this is very new, it's very different than how things have been done before. Our old world order, it's always been about pride. It's I, me, mine, I'm doing this. It's like, that is that I started. There are the setups of leaders and followers, teachers and students, preachers and listeners, speakers and audience, providers and recipients. And some of these are still okay. I mean, it's like we do need teachers. They're not saying that we don't need teachers. Definitely we need teachers. But the New World Order is becoming humble. That's one character that we really need to work on and become humble. Not saying that I know. And I hope that our staff, the Mind Treasures team, has not presented this material. Oh, this is how you should be doing how you should be living your financial life. We brought you something new tools, new ideas, but we are hoping that everyone will be developing and utilizing what we have learned together, because every workshop we do, it's also a learning process for us, that we all learn how to do things in our personal life. So instead of being leader followers, now we're going to facilitators and participants accompanying each other in the field of service and learning. I want to read, Ismail said, I think he's referring to the Play Pump, that was a great initiative with the water. It's sad to hear that it all fell apart. Yes, it was very sad. But the problem was that it's because someone from outside came trying to fix. I won't give up the details of why it failed, so you can see it. But it's like changing our mindset. It's about we, us, ours. And I have seen something that I've been very proud of many of the friends that we've been working with. particularly whenever we organize a workshop, the organizers outside of the US, they wanted to put their own picture on the flyer and my picture on the flyer. And this is something that we don't do. At Mind Treasures, it's not about the individuals. We don't even put, sometimes we have put group pictures just to show that Mind Treasures is not just Alex, that there is a group of individuals behind it. But, and it's been amazing that some agreed to the idea immediately. They said, okay. And their thing was that, well, if I don't put my face on the flyer, people don't know who is this person that's presenting. And it's like, well, let the material present itself. Mind Treasures concept, and as you saw, our printable material does not have the name of any author in it. It did have my name on it, but then we removed it because now Mind Treasures, the ABCs of Wealth, belongs to the entire world. Yes, I do work on it, but all the translations to different languages are done by all the volunteers. Nobody is listed, but they're all acknowledged that we're all working together. And I know that this is a very difficult concept for many people, especially because we have been living in a world that leaders are encouraged, leaderships are encouraged. But what we have seen is that, yes, there are definitely coordinators. People have different offices, different titles, because at some point of time, those are needed. But when we are trying to work together, we see each other as the same. And the best example comes from His Holiness Jesus himself. He says, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many. And if you look, I have not been able to find in any of the scriptures, the Bible, Quran, Buddha's writing, Hindu's writing, Baha'i writing, none of the manifestations of God, Jesus, Moses, Muhammad, Baha'u'llah, Krishna, they never considered themselves as a leader. They all considered themselves as an educator, if I'm not mistaken. I have not seen in any of the books that I am a leader. It's always they come to educate. So we can learn a lot. And this is a lot different than how our societies write these days. Many people, many programs, they encourage leadership. And again, this is not to say that we don't meet people that are coordinating. Yes, obviously at Mind Treasures, ultimately, I'm responsible for writing the checks to our staff, paying everyone, doing different things. But as you saw, and you didn't meet all of our staff, there's several members that cannot do virtual sessions. We all work together. We all present ideas. We all consult. At least every series that we do, we consult together. And then think about, yes, the material has been the same, but often we look at, should we do something differently? What did we learn from the previous session? All right. So a lot of times we don't need to reinvent the wheels. If something has been working, let's just continue on that and continue to learn. Documenting everything that we're doing. Every person who's completed our program is listed in our archives. So maybe 20, 50 years from now, somebody will look and say, wow, these are the people that took Mind Treasures. 50 years later, Jordan is going to be 60 years old. Jordan, your name is going to be somewhere in the Mind Treasures archive. And you can say, I took Mind Treasures ABCs as well.
Yeah, he's gone, Alex, but I'll be sure to share that with him.
Thank you. Thank you. I thought that he's gone. All right. The other concept that's really needed is universal participation. It's not about just one group or one age group doing something for the other. And we often underestimate the power of children and youth. So I'm going to put in the chat or open your mic and share. I've never asked this question. What powers have you seen from children and youth? Have you, I'm sure you have seen, what have you seen our children, your children, or children in the neighborhood do besides just playing games? I think we often just think that children and youth are supposed to be playing. Well, they're playing too much these days. Video games, social media, but have you seen them participate in the affairs of the community, in our social affairs? Because they have a lot of powers. I remember one series that we were doing at the school, the children, what they said as part of the challenge in their school, they said that bathrooms, especially boys' rooms, are always dirty. And they were ready to march into the principal's office and demand the custodian to clean the bathroom. And they said, well, before you do that, why don't we look and see who uses the boys' room? It's like, okay, us boys. It's like, exactly. Girls don't come into the boys' room. So the problem may be starting from this group right here. And they said, no, we all clean. We all take care of everything. So then who's making the bathrooms dirty? They said, well, there's a group of other students that go to bathroom. They don't use it right. They throw papers around. They don't point in the right direction. It's like, well, it seems like the problem is with your schoolmates. So instead of going to the principal, why don't you nicely start talking to the school, to your schoolmates, and see how you can change the things. I think I shared another example. One time when a group of students watched the video about food waste, they decided not to do food fights anymore because they realized that a lot of people are hungry throughout the world, and the food that they fight with, they can definitely use it for other things. So, power of children. Still waiting to see. I know Roger is typing. How have we seen our children and youth get engaged? And I don't think they get engaged enough. And maybe what are some of the ways that we can engage? So Roger says, youth are very energetic. If we able to connect them, they have powerful assets in bringing changes. Yes, definitely. Now, please, I've been talking since nobody else is here from our staff. Whoever wants to open up their mics, so I'm not the only one who's talking. Any other thoughts of how? Rhonda, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just talk rather than type. When my son was younger, one of the things that I would do with him, I was trying to teach him the importance of being compassionate to others who were less fortunate. As I would, we'd set a certain budget and we would go out shopping and buy groceries and then take it and deliver it to our local food bank to help feed those who were less fortunate. So he would do that, and then he was also involved in various activities through our church where the youth would go and they would visit and try and minister to juveniles who were in juvenile detention centers. So things like that. And I tried to instill those values in him from a young age. Jordan and I were just about scheduled. He had just about reached the age where he could go and volunteer at our local food bank when COVID hit. So he hasn't yet had that opportunity, but that's something I definitely hope to share with him.
Very good. And it's so important to get our children and youth involved at a young age. Of course, they need to be children, they need to do their school, but for them to know that life is not just about what they see in the neighborhood. I think if we don't take them outside of our neighborhoods and don't show them the reality of how other people live, you're doing them a disservice. Julia says, I've seen some of them from form clubs where they keep their environment clean and green. Others adopt some wards in hospitals and maintain them on a regular basis. I have seen others form social clubs where they identify and help vulnerable peoples. There is so much, and then all they need is just a little encouragement, little showing that this is what we can do, and giving them the benefit. It's like they have ideas. Of course, not every idea that they have is going to be fruitful, but doing something with them as a family, as a community, it's very important. So this changes that we're hoping that it will happen in our societies cannot happen just by us adults. It definitely has to have our young ones participating in it. We build capacity. We may have, as we were talking about, we may have a passion, creativity, or something, but then over time we build capacity, whether us as adults or children or youth, we continue to build capacity to participate in the social affairs of our society. Here in US, and I think in many parts of the world, being involved in social projects is very common. But it's sometimes there are certain groups that don't get involved because of the background. And my personal background being Iranian, I think in Iran, because friends, mostly families, took care of each other, there was not a whole lot of need for, let's say, food bank or places that give out clothing and stuff. But here in the US, the family ties, it's a lot smaller. It's very much narrower. So that's why there are a lot of organizations that do this type of work. However, one thing that I have seen here in the US is that a lot of organizations are just trying to rescue people that are already drowning in trouble. We work with our county's district attorney office, and they have a lot of projects. One of the new projects is that youth that are the first-time offenders, once they get into trouble with law, they have a program, they have established a program for the youth to get different services, like ours is one of them. They can come and learn financial education. They can learn if they have problem with drugs or alcohol. They can try to get out of those. And if they successfully complete the programs, the court system will seal their case and not even, well, it will not even go to the court, let's put it this way. So there's no record, there's no bad record, unless if it happens again. But the way we look at it is like, well, that is after when youth have gotten into trouble. We really need to build our societies from ground up, strengthening the family ties and the family institutions. Here in the US, in many of our neighborhoods, in our town, in San Diego, really educating, helping our young ones, being able to read and write and do math, be proficient by the time they complete grade 3. So those are the things that we can do. These are some other things. Any project that we start, it's going to have different phases. We plan based on realities and availability of resources in the community, not something that we might be able to get. And it's the same thing when we start a business. When we start a business, often we don't realize what resources we need to get that business started. We talked about, I think it was last week when we were talking about, many people want to start a business. They don't look at, well, the business for 5 years needs this much money to run, to start being profitable. And then as a business owner, I need to survive. I need to pay for my life necessity or for my family life necessities too. So therefore, we don't think about the money that I need for food, shelter, clothing, and health. Often projects, they want to expand too quickly. And this was one of the problems with the water pump, with the clay pump, as you will see. Expansion was too quickly and it was not sustainable. Of course, as a human being, we want to expand fast. I mean, over the last 16 years, one of the things I have always said is like, why are we not expanding faster? Why is it that we only do, like we have only 10 people on this call? Why is it not more? But I have learned that in 2006, 2007, when we did the first workshop in the school, there were only 8 students. But now we can do up to 1,200 to 1,300 to 1,500 students in our local community. And we will continue to grow. So expansion should not be too fast. We should take our time. Same thing with investments. My wife and I started investing in real estate in 2006. Many people go to workshops where they're promised that, oh, you can become millionaires or billionaires in like overnight with real estate. Well, sometimes it does happen, but for anything to be sustainable, it needs to grow organically. And often we need to come back and really lead, we expand, and then we consolidate. Most important is to reflect on the process, inputs, outputs, everything that has happened in here, any projects that we do. Every time we do a financial literacy workshop like this, at the end, we get together with our staff and say, all right, what did we learn this time? What changes do we need to make for the next one? So it becomes smoother or something new that we learn. And the consultation, I won't get into that. It's a different type of consulting together. Often when in our society right now, somebody has an idea and they bring it to a group, they're very attached to it. And they feel like I have to enforce my idea because I know it is going to work. But one of the things that we have seen and we're trying to change is that if I bring an idea into the table, let's say, for example, Mind Treasures, even though that ultimately I make the decision of how we do things because that I'm responsible for. But as soon as I bring that idea and present it to our staff, it's like, okay, I listen to everyone. And then it's not my idea. If the majority agrees that this is a good idea after we've had time to consult about it, then we go, even if I didn't like it, or if somebody brought another idea that I thought that, oh, this is going to fail. It's like, that's okay. We will try it. And if it's supposed to work and we seek confirmation from spiritual sources, that's where it has really been beneficial into our program. And if an idea that somebody else brought and I didn't like it, but the group decided to do, I don't have any right to go outside and say, well, it was an idea, it wasn't my idea, it's going to fail. No, we need to learn together, see whether it works or not. We're almost getting done with this. Planning, again, if you're starting a project, whether it's a business, whether it's an initiative, whether it's an NGO, starting from the available resources, this is something big that we are really trying to change, and it is working actually. Here in the US, especially working with government agencies that provide funding, or other agencies too, when we request funding, they ask us to describe the population that we're going to serve. And they are looking for certain words, such as LMI, which is for low to moderate income, underserved, underbanked, at-risk youth. And these are the things that we're trying to change. It's like, why do we have to look at everything half empty? Or when America looks at other countries, it's considered third world. It's like, why do we have to call them third world? Or look at only at their material possessions? People have, as we've seen, we're all born rich with abundance of character traits, spiritual powers, and everything. And it was last week that working with our local government, with our local district attorney office, we suggested removing those words from one of their websites, and they agreed. So we thought that was really a big positive change in our local community. And now the organizations, because we are only one of the organizations that work with our local government, other organizations got really excited about making that change and removing these negative phrases or words from the vocabulary. It's going to take some time, but at least we started the process. So hopefully you can also identify what are some of the negative, I'm just gonna put it in here. What are words? So what are some of the negative words that you think it's common in your country that can be eliminated? Of course, not all at once. Even here, I mean, we just started with our local government, but those words are going to be around for probably decades to come until they're completely eliminated. But what do you think? What are some of the negative words that are used in your local community? So we hear from that. We look at the project that we're starting, what resources are needed as an input, whether it's a business, social project, whatever that is. We look at, as we've seen, wealth in all different forms. And we look at the realities of every community. Yes, realities of some community materially and financially might be low, but again, they have a lot of stuff that they can be used. Juliet says the disabled instead of differently able. That's a perfect example. The different things that can be done. Looking at it, not as I like to say, not looking at the glass half empty, but looking at the glass 2/3 full. Rhonda says yes, poor, disadvantaged, minority, colored. As we know, we're all created equally. I mean, that is in all the sacred writings. God says, I have created you in my own image. Obviously, we don't know what God looks like, because if we knew, we would be in trouble. He's the Almighty, the All-Knowing, the All-Wise, the All-Generous. We only know him. He is that unknowable essence that we only know him by his character traits. And that is what our likeness is from God. We have all of those character traits, if you remember in our Human Treasures lesson. We have all of them hidden within us that we need to discover and develop. So changing these mindsets is going to take some time, but it's going to be definitely beneficial. We're almost done. Let's see. Another point in here that often, especially in the social enterprise projects, outputs and outcomes are confused together. Definitely outputs needs to be looked at. So for example, in this workshop, I think we had 60 registrations, about 24. Those were the initial registrations where they just fill out the form and said, we want to participate in this. Then out of that, 24 people completed the registration, which some of them are you, by accepting the calendar invite and then also completing the initial goals in your online worksheet. So numbers are important. So that's what we see that, all right, about half the people that said they wanted to participate in this, they actually participate. Over time, we haven't lost anyone, but I think a lot of people have internet challenges that they haven't been able to continue. So those numbers are important. But more importantly is like the work that all of you have started doing, the work that Achilles and Juliet, they're going to do. Eva, I forgot to mention, Eva said that she's going to take part of our program and run a workshop series at the international school. Been talking to Ismail, with Raju, with Rhonda and Jordan. Hopefully with Rhonda, we can go to Jordan's school and bring this. I know Tay is also, we've been talking about in the background. Those outcomes are a lot more important than the numbers, but numbers are a way to plan. It's like, we needed to know, my treasure staff needed to know how many people are coming. If it's a small group, 1 or 2 of us is enough. If it's a large group that we need more breakout rooms, then we needed to have more staff in there. So this is why being able to differentiate between outputs and outcomes. And these are the last 2 that I have. When we start any kind of venture, whether it's a for-profit business, nonprofit, NGO, anything, it's guaranteed that there's going to be calamities, hardships, challenges, obstacles. These are prerequisites for growth and advancement. And I have definitely experienced all of these. Nothing, as we say in our culture here in the US, we say no pain, no gain. We have to have we need to learn. This is how we learn. This is how things are done. All right, I'm going to stop here. This is the end of our presentation for today and for the whole program. I'm going to open it up for questions, comments.
I have a question for you, Alex. I was just curious if your organization has done any work with foster youth, because that is a segment of the population here in the United States that have kind of been the forgotten children, and they struggle mightily with, you know, when they're coming out of the system, if they've been in the system for many, many years, adapting to the real world once they turn 18 and they're booted off on their own with finance. They struggle with finances and everything else, but finances is definitely a large component of it.
So we have talked to a few organizations that do work with foster youth, one of them particularly in north of Escondido. They were aware of our program. They were doing something of their own. And this is one of the things that really, I mean, breaks my heart, that we are offering a program to everyone at no cost. And here in San Diego, not many organizations are taking advantage of it. So if you know foster youth or organizations that want to do it, we are available. Especially here, we have full funding to do even in-person sessions. So that's something that we have. I think here in San Diego in the US, and this is something that I was working with the district attorney office, we realized that there are a lot of organizations that work with district attorney, but each one of us is working on a silo. We do get together once a month, but then we say that we're going to refer clients, whether youth, children, or adults, to each other, but it really doesn't happen that much. But it is available. If you have any contact, if you have any, what our concentration has been, because when we go to schools, first of all, it's young ages. They're like sponges. Jordan is like a sponge. And Jonathan is the same thing. And when we go to schools, we get anywhere between 100 to 200 participants all at the same time. So we put our energy in doing that. But anytime anybody else says, I have a few, like anybody can organize a group of 15 or more for one of these virtual series or even in-person series. And we have locations that we can even hold them to. So we're definitely open to working with any group who's willing to make the commitment.
Okay, that's good to know.
Other questions? Roger, you had some questions about how we run the...
yeah, Alex, we already completed. I'm more eager to know, can you provide, you say the program when to the children need 12 weeks. So the framework, how to carry out the work among the children. I think we need to transform the knowledge that we gave to the children. We really need another set of skill, the framework we needed. So whether you're able to provide that.
And it's really, that comes from your passion. I mean, we can record, and that's something that we'll try to do. We're starting a new round of series in primary schools locally in January, on January 10th. We cannot have a live feed, that we cannot do because we're in schools, but I will try to record them. And the best thing I would say is that if you're thinking of starting to work with young ones, with children and youth, organize a small group just to try it and see how it goes. The basic level material, the printable version, it has all the lessons. That it has 10 lessons in there that you can bring into the children. The facilitator manual, which you all have access to, that one also gives step-by-step instructions on how to do it, and just try it. It's not anything specific that you have to. Our program is a framework. Basically, it's like, all right, these are the ideas, and you should complement it with whatever your own creativity, whatever your resources are. Roger, you have a lot of animations, videos, and things like that, and utilize those. It shouldn't be that it's not a cookie cutter, that, oh, this is how Alex and his team delivers the material, this is how I should do it too. Even when we have our own training, so the way we do train our own staff is that they attend a class like this. Whoever wants to do our program, become a facilitator with us. They come, complete, we used to do it in person, now virtually, and then we bring them into the classroom so they can see how we do things, but we always tell them, don't feel like you have to do exactly like how Alex does, or how Irma does, or how Nari does. These are just examples. Use your own creativity in doing things. And once you get in, I know, Roger, you haven't worked with children or youth. I know it could be a little different, but you will enjoy it. It's so enjoyable because they're like sponges. As soon as we walk into a classroom and we ask one question, I mean, here everyone is quiet. Adults, even high school kids, they stay very quiet. I have done high school sessions. It's very difficult. They all drop their heads. It's like they're hoping that the facilitator don't make eye contact with them. But in primary school, I ask a question, any of us ask a question, they're all jumping up and down. We have to quiet them and say, okay, one at a time, one at a time. They will suck you in, they will engage you. Before you know it, the time is up. One of the things that we always have to be considered about, because we get specific time from the teachers and we have so much material to deliver, it's like, all right, we need to do 5 minutes of this, 5 minutes of that. And children's attention span is very short. This is why, like, Jordan couldn't stay for this whole thing, because this is not really made for young children. But the same material, exact same material, except the advancement. When we presented in school, they engage so much. Don't forget the treasure box or jars or something. This is very interactive with play money. And this, we usually, every session, we allow about 20 minutes to do the allowance for them to write it into the register book. We go around and help them understand how this is done. It takes them a little bit of time. So time in the classrooms goes very fast. We usually start by asking the teachers for 90 minutes. That's our desired time, once a week for 12 weeks. But some of them that cannot do that, we do 60 minutes. We never do anything less than 60 minutes because it's very, especially in a classroom, because by the time we get into classroom, the children, all of a sudden, the whole class disrupts, it erupts, and to calm them down and then get going. And then at the end, usually the teachers want their time back too. That 60 minutes goes very fast. But it's very enjoyable. Children work on their either online, and if you do want to present a program somewhere where the participants have access to computers and internet, we can create the online worksheets for anybody. Or you need to print the PDF files, which are set up for double-sided print. And we will support you in your efforts. Anything that you need, we'll stay in touch. Other questions? Eva, when are you thinking of starting your program at the international school?
In fact, I've already started, but I'm not really using the material yet. Yeah, perhaps, yeah. I can show you, in fact, this month I've done 2 workshops for the kids. Yeah, can you see that?
Yes, yep.
Yeah, that's what I've been running
Okay.
for the kids this month. Thinking to do more in the future, but haven't actually looked at it because this one is quite a short workshop. It's like about 3 hours workshop.
Okay. But that's great. It's all about getting started and doing something. And as we were just presenting, it's all about learning. We dive in there and learn as we go along. Let's see, this is from Juliet. I wanted to find out, I and Kelly's intend to share this knowledge in church groups and others that may be in need, and we would like to give a certificate of attendance. Is it okay if we charge a minimal fee? Absolutely. Our program, we provide our material at no cost. What you do with it, it's totally up to you. We ask you not to change our material. So the PDF, we know that these days PDF files can be changed. Please don't change our PDF files, but you can charge for the program if you want to create your own material and utilize some of our concepts. Please definitely do that. Raju has been doing that. He's been incorporating some of the pointers, some of the material that we have in our ABCs as well. Our friends in Vietnam, they have written their own book with our material, but they call it their own book. They don't call it ABCs of Wealth. ABCs of Wealth is ours, but they call it something else. We have a affiliate in Kenya that she has also done books for teenagers and children, but she has used our material and credit. That's all we ask. Credit Mind Treasures, not me, just credit Mind Treasures. And we would love to see pictures of your workshops because we can share it with everyone. And some of you are already in our global network. We do have a WhatsApp group that's global. Right now it has about 200 members from about 80 countries. Sometimes it is quiet, but sometimes people do share their initiative. And the hope of that group is that everyone gets encouraged to do their own program. So yes, you can charge anything you want because we know this is not a money-making machine. Nobody has ever been able to earn a living from Mind Treasures, not from Mind, sorry, from Financial Literacy. So whatever you need. Ismail, I will add you. I'll add everyone into the global WhatsApp group after the workshop today. Other questions, thoughts? Yes, Kelly is already in the global group. Juliet, I will add you in there as well. And we have also created subgroups for like countries where people are working together. Like we already have one group for Malaysia. Raju, I need to add you in there, but Eva, Michelle, and Maximus. Michelle and Maximus completed our program in the summer, and then they co-facilitated. And that's another thing that you, as a refresher, the next time when we don't have any new virtual series scheduled, but hoping that some people would do it, either somebody from this group or others. And those who have completed this and completed their assignments, and they have a good enough internet connection, we would welcome you to come and co-facilitate with us, presenting any of the materials, being part of the breakout rooms. So next time when we do a virtual series, we will definitely reach out to you. Okay. Are we good? Well, thank you so much. Let's see what is one of my wives is in Malaysia. So please add me to the Malaysia subgroup. Okay, additionally, I'm interested in working with people in Africa and the States. Yes, definitely. Yes, we'll do that. Okay. Any other thoughts, questions, comments before we wrap up today's and the series? Again, thank you so much, especially to Eva and Raju. I know it's 4 a.m. there. Me too. I know you joined our program late, and it is, I believe it's 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. if I'm not mistaken in India. I saw your younger son going to sleep behind you. So thank you so much for keeping us the company. We'll learn a lot together. This is not the end of it. This is just the beginning. Have a good day, and we'll talk to you later.